just stays with it.
Watch for the lap traffic, caution.
So let's have a look at the number. And it's a 57.2, Davison a 57.1, Kelly a 57.1. Now Stephen Johnson, the first of the cars that doesn't have them, he's about to cross the line. David Reynolds still in fourth. And Stephen's a bit further behind that pack now. He's lost touch pretty rapidly, but a 59.0. So there's a big difference. And there it is. So at this point, the sprint tyre is still well and truly the thing to be on. So I reckon straight away, Scafey, a whole bunch of people here at the moment go, whoa, it's a bit faster than we thought and for longer than we thought.
And not only that, Neil, we've said through the year that when you have this sprint tyre, tyres work in a weird way, and sometimes certain circuits suit a tyre versus other times. And at this circuit, around a place where it's constantly loaded, the lateral load actually helps this tyre. So we're getting, for the lap time itself, a bigger yield, a bigger gain from the sprint tyre than anybody thought. So, as you said, for sure there's a gain in it. And we can look there now, the pack of cars at the front that are absolutely getting the sort of advantage that they're trying to achieve. Oh, a bit of a bump. Well, actually hit it quite hard.
Will's wanting to get on with it here. He wants Michael to yield so that he can make position, which he's done. Todd wants to go with him in that process, and so he'll be pretty urgently rattling on the back bumper, the Valvoline car. Coming out behind them then was Shane Van Gisbergen, and Michael's going to get rounded up down the inside here on the run to 6. He gives him space. Todd sneaks down pretty easily. You can see the extra braking grip available on that tyre.
So the top 3 cars and the last lap were basically within 1/10 of a second of each other in terms of speed. This has been hurt a little bit by Caruso, but prior to that, no difference in lap speed between those top 3 cars.
Well, it's quite good strategy, I think, from those guys that have pitted early now, because, Neil, you talked about the congestion possibility in pit lane, and we might have a little bit of a look at that later on. But what they've done is, if there's a safety car pops up now, while still there's a gaggle of cars together, everyone will dive in. It will become very congested. Those guys that have got in and out very cleanly will be in good shape.
It's a good point, Larko. It is a very difficult pit area. We'll show you later on about the circumstances around the pit and what the proximity of garages are. And what you're saying is when everyone comes in to do the stop, you will battle to get in and out cleanly.
Now, Stephen Johnson, that lap at 59 even. Mark Winterbottom at 59.6. There's a couple of guys on the sprint tyre up in front, and they're still in the low 57. So at the moment, still the margin hanging on in favour of the sprint tyre.
Greg Murphy's just got in front of this pack of the Sprint Gas Commodore. Started way back, 20 seconds, so they've decided to use it. There he is, closing in on Johnson, but his lap times on the sprint tyre are quite a bit slower than the leaders, Whincup, Davison and Kelly.
Yeah, he's been complaining the whole time. Greg thinks that whenever they put the sprint tyre on, the car doesn't use it very well, and it hurts the tyre very quickly. So probably based on the lap speed and his consistency there, he's not going to be a guy that's going to run as long and as beneficially as the others based on how hard that car is on the tyre. Great vision of the guys using every little bit of road. Just have a look at, there's not one skerrick of road left. Just take real notice of where Greg Murphy positions the car, right against the curb on the left, right against the curb on the right, right against the exit curb on the left. There's not a little bit of dust comes up. Under brakes into cold now. Look again. Right against the curb. He's just missed the apex a little bit. He gets it back. Right against the curb. Uses every little bit of road. It's a great track for that. You've got to use every little bit of available area to take the load off the car.
This is Murphy on Johnson and down into turn 7. What you don't experience in the lounge room off the top of the hill there at turn 5 is the massive bone rattle that you get on that sawtooth curbing there, Scafey. I mean, it literally rattles the fillings out of your head. It's harsh.
It certainly is. Again, this is the bumps that we've been referring to on the way into 1. Steve Johnson is driving this car very well. I can't explain how when the cars have got little grip and you're trying to get the very best from the car, you look at Steve there, he's just on the brake, he's a breeze on the throttle. Little short shift.
And Scapey, I reckon Stevie Johnson's going to be in for a ripper weekend. He's got good speed. He's a smart, level-headed driver that in the volatility of Wanneroo, we see a lot of the opposite of that. And I've just spoken to Burjo, his team manager, Adrian Burgess, and he's saying that they've filled the car enough. They've got some flexibility. They're going to see what everyone does in terms of sprint tyre, and they can hang out there and wait for a safety car, probably longer than most. So I reckon they're in good shape.
I agree, Larker.
Will Davison taking his stop from second to go back to the control.
So that's probably a reuse them tomorrow policy, I would say, at some stage.
So the one to watch in comparison with Will is Craig Lowndes. Now he stopped earlier in car 888, so you would expect Will to come out in front, having run longer on sprint tyre and gained a lot more ground. He makes it to the exit of pit lane, and there in the background is Craig Lowndes just coming onto pit straight. So Davison has moved in front. He's back in among the slower cars. Whincup, the championship leader, leads the way. Lap 14 in Perth. Pit lane is going to be busy today at Barbagallo. Jason Richards, the Team BOC Commodore, started from 27th, but this is Will Davison trying to get his way through some of the slower cars. He's made his stop, come out a long way in front of Craig Lowndes, so that's a net gain from running on the sprint tyre for longer than the 888 Team Vodafone Falcon. But the thing Will's got to contend with now is getting by all this traffic, and Cameron McConville in the WOW Commodore is next on the list.
Cam did a good job there. He saw Will coming, because you've got to make sure that you know what the proximity of the other car is when you go to turn it at the corner, and Cam had pretty good awareness, pretty good vision there of where Will Davison was coming from.
And what's going on here in the background, if you were privy to the strategy computer work, is that Will Davison and Todd Kelly are racing, but they're half a racetrack apart, and Will wants to clear that traffic. Todd's got the sprint tyre on, but they're degrading. Will's gone in, taken the stop, so they're in a little battle that won't fully resolve until the next stop comes for Todd.
Exactly. And the guy who's doing a good job is Dave Reynolds. Jamie Whincup on the last lap, 57.65. Todd Kelly, 58.07. David Reynolds, 57.83. So he's only a couple of tenths of a second slower than Whincup, and is really getting a good, consistent yield from this tyre.
In behind Stephen Johnson, 5th and 6th.
And so the other thing that I don't think we've made reference to is the split strategy at Team Vodafone. So Jamie starting on the sprint tyre, staying on the sprint tyre now as we're on lap number 16. And Craig starting on the sprint tyre, getting off it on lap 5, and clearly with some fight left in those for tomorrow. Now, looking at Winterbottom there on screen, you'll notice there's no yellow on the side wall of the tyres. There's a bit of confusion on our timing monitor because it's showing him with the sprint tyre, and it threw me before when I was looking at the numbers, but he definitely doesn't have the sprint tyre on.
Neil, I just happened to be standing in FPR's pits, and Stevie Richard barrelled into the pit lane completely unexpected. The guys did a great job, got ready for the pit stop. No, but why he did that, he got a long pedal coming down onto turn 7 there, and cleverly dived straight into the pits. I saw them put a spanner onto the nipple, onto the rear caliper. Could have been a little loose there, don't know, but well done to the boys to get prepared that quickly.